Welcome to episode XX of Silence is Golden, the weekly Facebook Live WordPress show. It's episode XX because we haven't quite figured out how to do this yet, so we're not willing to put episode numbers on these because we are still in beta. This is unofficial. Coming up on today's episode, we're talking about the 2017 WordPress Survey, the new release of the fantastic Beaver Builder plugin, the upcoming release of WordPress 4.9. We're going to have a quick look at some of the features in that. We're going to be answering some of your questions from Facebook. We're also going to be talking about the very sexy topic of planning your website and setting goals. And Simon is going to share a Google Doc template with us. Woohoo! Stick around and stay with us. All right, welcome back to the show. Hey, Simon Kelly, how you doing?
Good, Troy. How's yourself?
I'm very well, thank you.
Yeah?
We have a slightly new composition today. We have different lenses, we have different lights.
I'm loving it. It's looking great.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's coming together.
It's great to be able to put it together as it's happening.
That's right, yeah. We're literally flying by the seat of our pants. All right, a few things to talk about in the news. The WordPress 2017 survey is now available for you to partake in. There will be a link somewhere in the show notes here. I think we have the link is, there we go, look at that, wplevation.com/WP Survey 2017 with all the right hyphens. This survey collects a whole bunch of data on people who use WordPress. It's a very interesting data set to go through. I have the data set from the 2014 WordPress survey. The last couple of years they haven't actually released the results from the from the WordPress survey, which is interesting. I'm hoping they will release the results of this survey.
Yeah, it is always interesting having a look in to just get a bit of a pie graph view on the people that use WordPress, like who's using it for a blog, who's using it for a business, who's a developer, designer. It's just really interesting to have those stats, that information. I don't really do anything with it, but I just find it interesting to learn about anyway.
We do. We use that data to put together our marketing campaigns. Interestingly, from 2014, one of these statistics was that the average WordPress website takes about 4 to 6 weeks to build. I'll be very curious to see if that number has changed in this year's survey. All right, what else is going on?
Especially with the creation of page builders.
Correct, which is a nice segue. You want to talk about Beaver Builder 2.0?
Yeah.
Just to completely throw the script around.
Yeah, sure. What run sheet? So yeah, Beaver Builder is it's my favorite page builder. I love building websites with Beaver Builder, and 2.0 has come out, and you can get a preview of it right now from the Beaver Builder website. So I'm just going to jump on and have a look, and we'll see if we get the screen going up. So I've got it up at the moment. Now, what I'm really seeing with this version of Beaver Builder is just how much they've fine-tuned the UI. It's really looking more and more like an application, more so than just a WordPress plugin. It has been very advanced for a long time, but now it's just all the different elements there. Like, it's just looking so lovely. It's just so easy to use. Everything really makes sense. But one of the biggest benefits I find of using Beaver Builder is that you don't have to train someone to use it. It's so intuitive. The buttons make sense as to what they do. You don't need a training manual in order to do it. So you can just get on there, click, things are highlighted, very intuitive, very easy to drag things around. Yeah, I think it's absolutely fantastic. So I think they're still doing a bit of tests on this one. I think it's going to be coming out, be pushed live to accounts within the next 2 weeks or so. And yeah, I'm very excited to see it come to fruition.
Awesome. Cool. Loving Beaver Builder. Do you want to also talk about WordCamp Europe? What's happening at WordCamp Europe? So WordCamp Europe 2017 was in June. What's happening in 2018?
So it's in Belgrade in Serbia, which is an interesting place that I've never been and I would love to go.
That's where the Managed WP crew are from, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
no, I didn't know.
Yeah, they're all based in Belgrade. Yeah,
there you go. So it's on June 14th to 16th. They've released 1,000 early bird tickets, so you can get it right now from, I would imagine the word, 2018.europe.wordcamp.org/tickets. You can get your tickets there. There's been about, I think it was about 10% have been sold already, so there's still plenty of tickets from the early bird, but definitely get in early and get a better price and yeah, show your support for coming to the conference.
Have they announced who's going to be speaking as yet?
Not that I've seen, actually.
Okay, that's probably a little early. When is it? Is it June next year?
June 14th to 16th.
Wow,
yeah.
They're selling tickets very early indeed.
Yeah. I love going. I love looking at the international conferences and WordCamps just to see places I haven't been before and go and see. Okay, well, there's Greece that's near there and Croatia's near there. I could go to the WordCamp and then just sort my travel plans and Melbourne winter escape around WordCamp.
Awesome. All right, a quick look at the WordPress 4.9. This is an early preview, so WordPress 4.9 is not out yet. It should be out very soon. A couple of new features in WordPress 4.9. You can now send preview links to people without them having to log into your WordPress website to look at them. So previously, if you're building a website for a client or you've added a page or a new post to your website or your blog and you want someone to preview it to make sure it's all good before you publish it, you'd actually need them to log into your WordPress dashboard so that they can preview the page. Well, now you can send preview links to anyone and they don't need to log in to preview the content, which is awesome. You can also schedule changes. So this is interesting. When you updated a page or a post in WordPress, it was live on your site straight away. You can now schedule when those changes go live. They've added a gallery widget, so you can include an image gallery wherever you can include widgets. And they also now have a new theme browsing functionality. So within the WordPress dashboard, you can browse themes at wordpress.org and see how your website is going to look if you choose to download and install that theme. So that's all cool. There is a link, wpelevation.com/wp-49 is where you can get more information over at TalkMag. You can read the full article there on the early preview for WordPress 4.9, which is exciting. All right, hey, let's do some questions from Facebook. You want to go first? You got a question there from Facebook?
I think you've got the first one up.
Cool. All right,
jump in.
I'm going to. Here's a question from Ida, who says, I feel like this is a dumb question, but does anyone use a tool to create their portfolio so that it depicts multiple media device views? Well, Ida, let me tell you. We're just waiting for the... There we go, Ida. Remember, there's no such thing as a dumb question, Ida, only dumb people. No, I'm kidding. Sorry, I'm paraphrasing The Simpsons there. What Ida's asking here is that what she wants to do is she wants to take websites that she's built and show them what they look like on a desktop, a tablet, and a smartphone to show off to potential new clients, hey, this is how good my websites look on different devices. And typically speaking, that takes, a fair bit of work to do them in Photoshop and to resize the browser and do all that kind of stuff. There's a whole bunch of tools that you can use to do this very quickly. The tool that we know and love and use is called smartmockups.com. So get on over to smartmockups.com, Ida, and I hope that answers that question. While I'm here, the other question I have is from Aurora, who says, I have clients who are not interested in a care plan. Let me explain what a care plan is. A care plan is for those clients who need regular updates to their website. They might need help with content management. They might want their software updated. They want backups and security. They basically just want their website taken care of and they need constant updates to their website. And it's very difficult to take a brief from a client and say, okay, well, add a testimonial to your website. It might only be a 15-minute job for us to actually get in and do it, but by the time you take the brief from a client, do the work, test it, make sure it works on all the different browsers, make sure it's still responsive, make sure it doesn't conflict with anything else you've done, and then send the client an invoice and then chase the money, it's never a 15-minute job. It's more like a 3-hour slice out of your day. So how do you bill for that? It's very difficult to say to the client, well, that's going to be $350 to add that testimonial to my website. The more effective way of doing this is to get your clients on what we call a care plan, which basically means they're paying you a monthly fee to look after their website. Usually it's subscription based, so you don't have to worry about invoicing or chasing payment, which saves a lot of time and hassle. And you can schedule your time during the month to work on that client's website, and it's a far more efficient way of doing it. However, some clients still want you to do those little fixes on their website without having a care plan. And this, Aurora, is how we would answer that question. We would say, there's a couple of ways you can handle this. You can basically say, no, you can just refuse to do the work. Or you can do what Ambrose here suggests, which I think is excellent. He said, you can basically tell them, look, if you're on a care plan, you get priority treatment. You're not on a care plan, which means you're going to go to the back of the queue. So we'll get to it when we can. But if you want to get this done and you want more work like this done on a regular basis and you want to be in the front of the queue, you really do need to subscribe to one of our care plans. Or you can log into the back end of your website and do it yourself because it's built on a content management system that allows you to do that. And of course, as soon as they do that, they're going to realize how much work's involved. They're going to come back to you and hopefully subscribe to a care plan. So, I hope that answers that question. Anything to add?
No, absolutely.
Perfect.
That's everything right there for sure.
Perfect. What have you got? You got any questions for us?
Well, the question that I have is quite a long one, and it actually goes into our main topic today. In summary, it's about website planning. It's about when delivering a website, what is the order that you go through? When do you do the sitemap? When do you get the content from the client? How do you go about that entire process? And that's from Monique Doubleman. So there's quite a lot more detail in there, but that's the gist of it. So that is our core topic today. We want to be talking about website planning and really what we want to be learning a bit more about when it comes to website planning is what are the goals of the website. Before you jump into the tools, you want to know what it is that you're doing before you start going, oh, I could do this and I could do that and I could do these things. And you get excited about all the different features and plugins you could use. You want to be having a conversation with your client, or if you're building a website for yourself, with yourself, you just want to hit the whiteboard or get into a Google Doc and write down some of the goals. Because if you don't write down what it is that you're trying to achieve, it's very hard to get there.
Correct. If you don't know where you're going, you won't know when you've arrived.
Yeah, and every way is the right way.
There's another, what's the other saying around this? If you haven't got a target, you'll always miss it. Hey, I feel like we need a little badoom sound effect. There's a million ways you can explain the same thing, and I can tell you from experience that about 5% of clients, and that's probably generous, actually know what they want to achieve with the website. Yeah. They haven't actually thought this through. 95% of websites just get thrown up without any kind of strategic thinking about the purpose and the objective.
That's right, yeah. And you'll deliver a much more effective website and you'll have a much better project with your client if you have this conversation first, because you want to get on the same page before you start building stuff. Because what you've got in your mind and what the client has in their mind can be two very different things.
Never the twain shall meet.
Yes,
exactly.
And I remember we had a conversation, it would be about 2 years ago now, and this is just stuck in my mind about how we just kept saying, like, you and the client are traveling along.
Yes.
And then you get further apart, and then the touch points that you have, you just bring them back together.
Correct.
Like, you may be going this way, but you need to sync back up. Otherwise, you're working on the project, they're thinking, great, this is all happening, haven't heard from Troy for a while, and then down the line you have a meeting, say, I've delivered everything, and they're like, this is not even my business, this is not even the website that I wanted at all, we wanted this, we wanted those things. I think clients find it very difficult to articulate what they want in their head. And
most people find it hard to articulate what's in their head.
That's it. And I think web designers and developers find it difficult to articulate what they're going to produce as well, right? Like, it's just not speaking the same language. And that just comes from an educational background. Like, some clients are not educated with the website building space. And then some WordPress builders are not educated in client's business space, whatever that may be.
That's right.
So it needs conversation to be able to make that happen.
Is that how I explained it, that you're here and the client's here and you get further away in the regular touch point?
Yeah, it's a good one.
Genius.
Yeah, I think I came up with that, if you can't remember.
Sure, you can have it, it's yours.
That was me. It was a good one. So yeah, when you're building websites and it comes to having the meeting with the client and saying like okay, what are we doing here? So you want to have that meeting before you get the job, I would imagine. So you have that meeting first, have a chat with the client. You want to really talk about what it is that they're trying to achieve. Go wide, go deep, ask questions, and listen. Right. And then what I do is I just go into a Google Doc basically, and we just list out some of the goals that we want to have on the website, the pages that we need, and take it nice and slow, building from there.
So before we get into your Google Doc, there is one little thing that can I share the tool of the week?
Please.
Yeah. So we have this section called Tool of the Week, and that is, for future reference, we'll have some kind of stinger or some kind of graphic thing there. We might have, a power drill or something. There'll be something interesting that will happen there, and that's just for future reference. Tool of the Week. But we don't have it yet, so I'm just going to explain what the Tool of the Week is. Tool of the Week this week is, and it's not actually a piece of software, it's actually a piece of intellectual property developed way back in the 1980s, I think it was, by a guy whose name I can't remember. But it's best explained, I love this video from Brian Tracy, who, and as Ray was saying before in the pre-roll, we just love Brian Tracy's voice. It's kind of hypnotic and you can kind of get lost listening to Brian Tracy. But there's this great video on YouTube called How to Create and Use Smart Goals by Brian Tracy. And it's an 8-minute video, and it's a really good way of explaining what a SMART goal is. So before you start talking about goals with your clients, understand what a SMART goal is and make sure your client understands what a SMART goal is. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to say to your client, why are we building a new website? And they say, because we want to make more sales. And you say, okay, more than what? If I can make one sale on the website, does that mean I've done my job? So you want to quantify what more actually means. I want to collect more email addresses. Okay, more than what? More than last week? We didn't collect any last week. So if I collect one, that means we've won, right? So SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. I'm not going to bore you with the details on why that's important to follow that framework. Go and look at Brian Tracy's video on YouTube, How to Create and Use SMART Goals, and make sure that every goal that your client is setting for their website is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound.
Excellent goals. When I'm building websites, I'll have that conversation with clients about goal setting, and we'll do that as part of a workshop, which we'll discuss in a future episode. But something that I do with clients that I have on a long-term retainer basis, which I like to be as many clients as possible, I will say to them, what does success look like in 6 months or in 12 months? You let me know, like we're at the end of 6 months, 12 months, and we're celebrating how awesome it's been. You tell me what's happened, like what does it look like for you? And instead of you trying to sit there and think about those goals, let them tell you what they are. And they'll get specific with that. If you just say, what are the goals, and they say something a bit wishy-washy like more sales, they're just not going to get specific. But if you say, in 6 months, because you're taking the time-bound thing away from them, you're saying 6 months, they'll be a bit more specific at that point. That just helps to extract the information from them.
And you do need to extract information from them. So one example of a SMART goal. So here's a non-SMART goal, otherwise known as a dumb goal. I want more email addresses. Fabulous, thank you very much. A SMART goal is, I want to grow my email database to 10,000 subscribers by June 30. Woohoo! Awesome. It's specific. We know when we've done it. It's measurable. It's achievable. It's realistic, and it's time-bound. So that's an example of a SMART goal. You want to show us your Google Doc? We've all been waiting for it. This is the money shot. We've all been waiting for the Google Doc. Show us the Google Doc.
We'll dive in. Okay, so
so first of all, before we do this, just give us some context. When do we use this?
So this isn't at the very beginning. So when you have your meeting with the client and you're learning about what it is that they need, you're learning a bit more about what they're trying to achieve before you deliver a proposal. It's not at that point. So you want to do that first. You've won the project basically, and you're in delivery mode at this point. So you want to actually have a planning session with the client about what it is that you're going to produce, right? So you know a little bit because you've already been talking to them, beginning the general goals and the overall objectives of the project, but now it's time to get some things done. Okay, so at this point, I'll show you the template, but I've also got an example.
Awesome. You could also use this before you put in a proposal, right?
Absolutely.
You could use this as like a pre-sell discovery workshop.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. The idea is to keep it flexible and keep it nice and simple. As I'm sure many WordPress professionals will know, it can be very client dependent. Trying to put things in a completely linear way, it can be very difficult. So if you've got tools at your disposal to insert into particular projects at the right time, then the more tools that you have to be able to do that, to follow the process, the better, and the smoother that you can create, that you can make a project go.
Awesome. Are we going to have a link for this website, Google Doc, by the way?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Perfect, cool.
Yeah. Don't have an easy one at the moment.
No worries. It'll be somewhere in the show notes, or we'll post it in the thing afterwards.
I can read that if you want.
Yeah, that's excellent. Great. /D/1HOUQAJ. And are you writing this down? How do you get your pen and paper?
You missed the underscore.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'm going to dive into the template first, and then I'll show you the example. All right. So put the client logo in there. It's always nice to brand it a little bit for the client. Website planner prepared by you for client. Right. Content, very exciting. Okay, so here we're going to get into the goals and requirements. So here's where we put the SMART goals in. It's just to really reset what it is that we're trying to achieve. Every time we are looking at planning the website, we remember the goals. Next up, we dive into the sitemap. So this is when we've got the information architecture. Just no fancy software here, just listing it in basic bullet points. There are some more fancy software you can definitely use depending on a project, but I like to keep it nice and simple. Only use those tools if it absolutely needs it. So keeping it nice and simple, put them in the bullet points there, show the hierarchy to the client. And then we've got the menus. So we list the different menus here. So at this point, I'll explain to the client a sitemap and how we list the pages is not the menu. It's not the same thing. That's usually a bit of a stumbling block.
Yeah.
They're trying to picture a menu and they think the pages need to be organized like that.
Yep.
And this just helps to just clear that up a little bit in their mind.
Yep.
We're listing every page and the hierarchy, and then we're going to list the menu. And I just say that, and that usually clears it up for them. So then we get into the page specifics. Right? So on the home page, what do we actually want to have? So we've got here page name, what's the goal of the page, and then what does this page actually need? Does it need a slider, testimonials?
Slider?
What the hell is that? They still work, come on. And then we get into the next part. So we've got design. So a couple of examples, URLs and screenshots. I'll fill in some of this for my clients as well, because I'll get this information already. And the reason I like to do that is when we get to a document and I've already part-filled that, for some reason I get them to fill it in. They're more likely to fill it in if I've done some of the work.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not just pushing back completely on them. Like, here, what we talked about, I've put it in there for you. Could you please finish the rest?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a bit of a guilt trip thing.
And also, I think a blank page is overwhelming. So if they've got all these questions, they don't know where to start. But if they can see how you've filled in some of these questions, then it's easier for them to just follow your format and get the momentum going.
That's right. Exactly. Yep. So in this particular one, for the client I'll show you, it was quite a small website, and we actually put the content straight into this Google Doc, and it worked absolutely beautifully. We just had one Google Doc to pretty much manage the entire project.
Beautiful.
And it was ace. So I'll dive into the actual project now. So it's for a motel in Bendigo called Barclay on View. Shout out to Sarah, because she actually worked with me on this process. The client helped me build this process. And it was absolutely awesome. So
we all love clients like that.
Yeah, it was great. So website brief. Get into the content here.
So you can see there's no fancy design in this document. This is not a pitch deck. It's nothing like that. It's just a planning tool.
Sometimes the simplest way is the best way.
Yep.
So we just went straight into the requirements. And I said to Sarah, okay, as we're building this, keep it nice and simple. I don't want to just see all your thoughts on the page or anything like that. Let's just keep it simple. And if we want to have a discussion, let's pick up the phone and we'll have a chat. Yep. And we went through some of this in person, but the extra stuff, the homework she needed to do, we just had a chat over the phone. Right? Because I've worked with some other projects where it's just like a brain dump onto a page. And it's very difficult to dissect it and organize it. Just have a conversation for those things. So we'll go to the sitemap, page specifics, and it just follows that exact template, basically.
Cool. Yep. Beautiful. Design inspiration. So almost like a mood board for the design inspiration.
Yeah. Now, of course, you can use InVision, you can use all these different tools, but if you don't need to, why do it, right? Like, just keep it nice and simple, and they can be, your power tips, your tools for bigger projects, or when it needs to be a bit more complex.
And also, I think you've got to pick the right tool for the job. I mean, InVision's a great example, or Cage app is another one, but I think that's for that. I mean, I think they're really good for collaborating between design and development and clients. So if the designers have designed a UI and the developers have got a couple of questions about how things work, and the client might be, or agency might be saying, move this 3 pixels to the left, then that's where something like InVision comes in really handy. It's generally further along in the process where a tool like that is really useful. I'm not sure that it's really useful at this stage.
Exactly, yeah. As you're planning it out, you want to be as flexible as possible, and you don't want to be stuck in the rigidity.
It's a word.
Yeah?
Rigidity.
Oh, okay.
Rigidity.
Good. Well, I shouldn't have chosen it if I can't say
That's
it, but
right.
there we go.
Yes.
You don't want to be stuck with that. With the tool, you want to be as flexible as possible.
Yeah.
Because you need to adapt to the changing situation.
Yeah.
I find.
Awesome. Anything else we should know about the planning doc there?
That you'll have access to it, basically.
Awesome. Yeah. Now, I can say from my own experience that this is one of those seemingly really boring exercises that most people don't do because they want to just jump straight in and start playing with the fun, shiny stuff. But I promise you, if you have a very clear idea about what it is you're trying to achieve, playing with the fun, shiny stuff is a lot more fun because you're on track and you're actually moving the needle and achieving an objective that you've agreed on. So make sure that you walk your client through, and this is actually a really valuable exercise for your client. This is the kind of thing that your client's actually paying you for, to get focused and to get on track and remove all the distractions.
That's right.
We will put a link to this template somewhere in the show notes or the Facebook Live notes somewhere here. Now, is there any questions? In fact, is there anybody watching this? Because, we don't know if there is, and if there isn't, then that would be sad. But if there is, does anyone have any questions for us? Now, this is on the page, isn't it? There we go.
It would be great to have the comments just
that would be
somewhere.
Great, yeah. Can you sort that out, Ray? If you can get us another screen over here with the comments or something, would be good.
Today!
poor Ray. Here we go. I'm just tuning into the live stream here, because if you do have any comments, please write us a letter, fold it up, put it in an envelope, and address it to... No, I'm kidding. Leave us a comment underneath the video, and we will do our best to Google it and look on Wikipedia and see if we can find you an answer. Eric Pastrick says, hi from Fort Lauderdale. Hello. Jamie says, do you do this before or after the contract? Very good question. So I like to do this before signing a proposal if I think the client doesn't really know what they're doing, or I think I don't really know what I'm doing. So if they've got this big, complex project that I've never really done before, I want to do this kind of thing in a discovery workshop before I agree to actually build the site. Because
as you were saying before, it's a really valuable exercise in itself. Now, this is something I've found a lot of people that build websites kind of have a bit of a mindset issue around, is there's nothing being delivered, or they feel like there's nothing being delivered by performing this process, when this document in itself, even though it's not a finished website, or it's far from a finished website, this process is really, really valuable. Clients can save thousands of dollars by doing this process before building a website, because they're getting clear on what it is that they actually want to achieve before they build a website and go, oh wait, no, that's not what I wanted. And then you have to start again, basically.
Yeah. A couple of things. Jamie Hill says, there's an echo. There's an echo.
Hilarious.
Hey, I'm a dad now. I'm allowed to say dad jokes. Jason Westbrook says, are you guys coming to Nashville WordCamp? I'm not, because as I mentioned, I'm a dad, so I'm kind of staying home and looking after my 4-month-old Oscar. Someone get Simon a bigger cup.
I'm out.
Okay, we'll put that on the whiteboard. Here's the link to Brian Tracy on YouTube. Thank you, Rich Flynn, for that. Jeffrey says, thanks to my water-resistant iPhone, I'm watching from the shower. That's too much information, Jeffrey. I just thought you all might want to know. Yep, thanks for that one. Now, there's just some things you can't unthink, are there? You know what I mean?
I try to just block that one
out.
Great,
thanks. Eric says, do we include this planning process as part of our setup fee? Eric, you include everything as part of your setup fee. You include getting out of bed as part of your setup fee. So yes, you could include this as part of your setup fee. Absolutely. The point is, make sure you get paid for running these kind of sessions, because they're valuable.
Yeah, exactly. It is actually valuable. Even though it might not be a website being delivered, it's still value, right?
Yeah.
And that's a valuable service.
100%. Hey, leave us some feedback. What do you think of the way we look? What do you think of Simon's haircut? I really like it. What do you think of the lights? What do you think of the lower thirds? Are we using the right font? What do you think of anything else? Give us some feedback. What should we do with the wall behind us? We're not really sure what to do with the wall. We're thinking about putting some timber or brick wallpaper, or like a mural or something on the wall. We're not sure what yet. So give us some feedback, leave us some comments. Let us know what you'd like to see on another episode of Silence is Golden, which is a name we came up with about 3 seconds before we went live today. Tell us if you know why it's called Silence is Golden.
And, it's all very official,
I'll send you Simon's cup if you get that answer right. It is very official. And also, if you're watching this anywhere other than Facebook, get off and come on over to Facebook. Like our Facebook page, subscribe to us on YouTube if we happen to make it on YouTube. I'm not even sure if we're there yet, but if we are, subscribe. Leave us a comment, and we will be back at roughly the same time next week, given like a 2 or 3 hour window. We're not really sure when we're going to start yet. The aim is to kind of go live at about 10 a.m. Tuesday mornings Sydney time, which we think is about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon for you people in Los Angeles, and about 6 o'clock Monday night for those of you in New York, and late Monday night if you are in the UK or Europe. So we look forward to seeing you again next week on Silence is Golden. Until then, I'm Troy Dean.
I'm Simon Kelly.
Go elevate.